Dwayne Livingston, the
Don't know what the
big
big.
musical giant. Let me say it's really a privilege to have you here on the Music Hacks Network, Dwayne.
Good to be here, bro.
Yes, man. I am quite happy because you were one of the guys who sort of get me started on the bass. I remember those times when I used to drive all the way from Spaldings all the way to Brownstone
Yeah, man.
on
Of
a
course.
Saturday just for a few lessons.
Yeah, I tell
All
you.
right.
It's like yesterday, man. It's like yesterday, Yeah.
Dwayne, how do you see yourself as an individual?
Well, I can use a few words, but striving to be better all the time. Never seeing, I'm never seeing the full limit. There's never 100 with me. There's always so much room for improvement as it relates to my craft. I try to be follow the golden rule mommy taught me when I was younger, to do unto others as I would have them do unto me. So you do to people what you want people to do to you.
Okay.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
can imagine this was the way that you were brought up by your parents.
yep.
How did you discover music?
Well, like I said earlier, thanks to daddy. The thing about it is, the more I think about it is the more I ask the question: did I discover the music or did it discover me? Because from age 5, I could actually hear if you're in key or out of key. I mean, from age 5, I don't know how I knew these things, right? I could sing a bass line to somebody singing a song, and I could tell you if you are out of key even by a semitone. So I don't know if the music, if I found it or it found me, but I know my role. I know my daddy's role in my life had a lot to do with where I went in terms of music, because growing up and seeing daddy playing guitar, I wanted to be like daddy, and playing in church and everybody is like, he's playing guitar at age 10. It was motivation, believe it or not. Anybody who hears at age 10 that you can,
Oh, but
yeah.
I
So
I thought you started guitar after bass because I didn't see you playing the guitar. Well, I didn't know
yeah,
you were
well,
playing guitar before
yeah,
bass.
technically I started guitar after bass, because start and start are two different things. You know what I mean?
Mm.
I played guitar, but I mean playing G, C, and D is different from actually playing guitar where I'm playing it now. But proficiently, I started doing it after bass.
Mm.
Yeah.
All right. Which are some of the other instruments that you were playing at that time?
The keyboard. Age 14 is when I started dabbling around the keyboard, and how that happened was my mommy was at the teachers college, Michael Teachers College. She was doing music there, and she brought home a keyboard, and man, it was like a kid in a candy store for me, man. I
Mm.
sat around the keyboard for hours and hours, just ping ponging and trying to feel out sounds.
What about career paths? Did
Yeah.
you want to be a musician or what did you want to be at that age?
I went through a few careers, man. I went through my first career was I wanted to be a pilot. I used to I used to go to the airport and watch when my family members go away, and I used to watch the planes go up in the air. I used to want to do that. When I went into high school, I was good at science and biology, so I wanted to become a doctor. But the thing about that time is, right at that time, there was a kind of a fight between that and music, because at that time I started to discover my musical talent on those levels, like I said, playing keyboard, and when you're at school and you're playing songs like and everybody's, wow, he's playing all my life, that motivation. So I kind of, and then there's the aspect too where I used to dream of just being on stage playing music. So it's like this career was born to happen.
Okay. Were you involved in JCDC and those kind of musical things as well?
Yeah, I was. Thing about those involvements is that as much as it was fun, it wasn't. I didn't do any heavy music until I went to school of music. I didn't learn any music theory until I got to school of music. I didn't do that. That's one, and I didn't. It was more. All the things I did in JCDC was more on the folk side. So there was no, bands like you have now, those kind of things. Yeah.
Now, how do you describe your sound?
My sound, maybe that's the hardest question to ask me, because if I'm to answer you honestly, I don't like my own sound. I don't at all. I don't. But I mean,
why not?
The thing about it is, I understand that there's a part of that. I don't know. I don't know every musician have this feeling. When the sound comes from you, you don't appreciate it as much as when it comes from somebody else. Sometimes I appreciate hearing myself a little bit more when I hear myself from a tape. But even then, I still I cringe when I hear myself sometimes. But the thing is, I know it's good. I know it's good. It's just that, coming from you, it is never going to be what you really want it to be. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright,
I also know too that when people listen to you, that it has a different effect on them than it has on you. So.
Alright.
Yeah.
Okay. We might listen and we might have been comparing you to a Victor type of sound or feel or sort of Marcus Miller type
Yep.
of sound for years. Alright, that's what we hear when we hear Dwayne.
Yeah.
Alright, so I would like to know tonight, what are some of the things that you have worked on over the past years for you to sort of develop that type of sound?
Okay. Well, if you're talking about Victor and Marcus, because I have a wide array of bass players I listen to, right? Because if you're playing jazz, you have to have chops. Marcus has great chops. But for Victor and Marcus Miller, I listen most for soul and funk. Everybody knows of Victor's techniques. I can go to some of them just slightly, but you have to practice things like your down, up, double thumping. And it looks simpler than it actually is, because you have to get the up just as powerful as a. Then they have the aspect of actually putting on the block, which is right. So I also do down, up, pluck, pluck. Alright, so it's down, up, pluck, pluck, down, up, pluck, pluck.
You went to Edna Manley.
Yeah.
Alright, what made you decide to get yourself formally trained?
Well, my mommy was a teacher, right? And mommy was not so low to my idea of going to music. She loved the idea that I used to want to be a doctor, and she was trying to nudge me in that direction. When I told her I wanted to do music, she said, well, if you're going to do music, you're going to have to get trained. And let me tell you, honestly, looking back at that now in hindsight, that was great. I really appreciated that because, when you're trained, there's an edge, You have natural talent. Let me tell you this. You don't do this without talent. So I'm not discounting that. You don't play music if you don't have talent for it. But then training kind of gives you a certain edge, It makes you go a little bit beyond the norm. So, yeah. It was my mommy that was really responsible for that.
Okay. So which course did you pursue at Edamali?
It was, at the time, it was called Caribbean, Latin American Jazz Studies. Maurice Garden headed it, so it had a few courses in there where you had to study jazz theory. I would suspect that jazz theory is still in school. So you have to study jazz theory, of course, theory up to grade 6. We had to do use of English, of course, reggae roots, Western European music history. But it pretty much was a course that was geared at teaching you Caribbean, Latin American jazz as a fundamental courses of music, and then you could branch off into your own genre, which I think was very good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I would like you to give me one of the most memorable moments that you have had at the Edamali College.
So many, but let me tell you, this one was when I used to have the final year shows. And my first year when I went there, I had no bass. Well, I don't know. There are good memories and bad memories, and some of them are funny. Maybe I should give this one because this one might help a person who is planning to go to School of Music to maybe get this attitude before you go. When I went to School of Music, I had this attitude that I was great, remember I told you I started playing music young. So that young phenomenon in the country made me feel nice, and that I was a master. Remember when I went to School of Music and somebody saw me and asked me, what instrument you going to play, my youth? I said, boy, I was going to play the bass, but I know too much from the bass already, man, so I'm going to play the keyboard. So those guys realized how clueless I was, Donald War. You guys must know Donald War, right?
Yes.
Donald War was yeah. He was at art school at the time and he was playing bass. Maurice was teaching him. So when they heard me say that, they realized I didn't understand what was going on. So they say, Donald, come in. So I see this guy walk over with this case. You know what I mean? Me and coming from the country only used to playing 4-string basses. So this guy walk over with the case and crack case, and I see a 6-string bass, and I run almost the entire music room corridor out, right? And then after that, I think Dexter Bacchus was there on the scene, a guy playing trombone, and then Neil Oliburton on guitar. And those guys started playing our blues, and man, I heard the guys playing what I heard on the radio, and I'm like, damn it. Sat there for a while, and then I saw everybody solo, and I said, no, but the bass can't solo. The bass is not an instrument that takes solo. And they said, Donald, solo. After Donald finished solo, I don't remember when Donald finished solo, I don't remember if I even have on fingers. I couldn't feel my hands. And they look at me and ask me, what instrument is he playing in my youth? I said, boy, I don't play an instrument. At that time I realized I really don't play an instrument. So it kind of changed the perspective of myself. And Maurice Garden was the second person. So many memorable moments, man. But Maurice Garden was the second moment because he asked me, what can you play on your bass, And I remember, you guys must know this. You know that Ron Kelly song?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I swat that bass line up, man, with my fingers looking like this. And after I played the bass, I thought Maurice God was going to say, wow, that's amazing, man. He was just sitting on the corner like this looking at me. And then he said, I don't like your fingering. He took the bass from me and he did, I need you to do things like... He did have to about up to the 9th fret, and by the time he got to the 9th fret, I didn't know where I was. I was completely decimated, man. Completely decimated. So those were two of the most memorable moments at the School of Music for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm happy you spoke about Maurice Garden because that going to his classes was always a
Yeah.
the dreaded fear. I
Trust me.
mean, you practice one whole week, and when you think you got it, and when you
No,
finally reach to principal instrument, then you realize that you didn't get it any at
no,
all.
but yeah, the beautiful thing about Maurice still is that he's tough on you like that, but
Right.
he's also observant of effort. So you know, what I mean, he gave me this piece when I was in PQ. I don't know the rest of it, but that's the idea, right?
Yeah.
I remember when he gave me that piece, man, to learn, to play at masterclass, and I tripped, I made mistakes until there were no mistakes left on the board to make, man. And he laughed and said, "All right, play another tune." And when I played the other tune, I was relaxed enough to play it. The idea is, if he saw where I wasn't practicing, I would have gotten it that day. But he knows I was practicing hard. So yeah.
Right. Yeah, man. All right. Performing at lunch or concerts.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk a little about that because I know that's another dreaded experience
Yeah.
for musicians at the Enomani College.
Mm-hmm.
How did you prepare yourself for that?
Well, two things. One is when I was there weren't so many lunch hour concerts. That was a very rare occurrence. Like you'd have that once every 3 months or so. Yeah, so you never had a regular lunch hour concert. Like they have it every week now. I'm thinking.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, but you never used to have it every week. You used to have it seasonally. But those times, used to separate the men from the boys, I would say, because you have songs like. I know you know what we song that's Giant Steps, right?
Giant Steps.
And you playing a song like. That's a lot of movements. You have to be on top of that, and those are the kind of stuff I used to be playing.
Okay.
And what you call it there, rhythm changes. Understand me? Yeah.
All right.
You start
Alright.
playing those things.
Yeah, man. All right. So Dwayne, I realize you're playing a lot of jazz related stuff. Why have you stuck to more jazz than anything else?
Yeah, I stuck to that genre because it's the back then and well now too, but back then it was the best vehicle to teach you harmony because that's a fundamental part of playing music. Whether you're a bassist, guitarist, whatever you are, you have to learn harmony, and jazz is good for that. But these days, I like Marcus Miller try to fuse all of the stuff into one. So if I play, funk now, it's still jazz language, but it's funk, So I try to keep the same jazz lines. If you should tell me to take a solo, you're going to hear jazz. But when I'm playing the bass line, I try to make it as funky as possible. So I try to bring all the genres into. It's pretty much the same language, man. Just the same language. Yeah.
All right. How were you seen by let me say your audience, the persons who you play to? Because I know
Yeah.
a lot of times persons don't get a lot of gigs based on the type of
Yeah.
genre that they play. Right? How difficult was that for you in Jamaica to get gigs?
Okay. Yes. That was actually difficult. I must tell you the truth. It was difficult because um well there wasn't a I don't know there seemed to have been a culture that was not really into jazz in my time. That's the first thing. And then I was very experimental at the time, so I was into a lot of jazz playing. And I don't know if it still exists. I think I am assuming it still does. That there's a culture that he's a jazz musician, man. Him can't play this, you know. So you're immediately put in a category,
Right.
especially if you play jazz authentically, because there are people who play jazz, and then there are jazz musicians, you know. I don't know if you know me by that. I'll show you later on what I mean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
All right. Just a few more questions and then I let you into the presentation. Well, Dwayne, I realize that you have left Jamaica.
Well, yeah, I'm at Humber. I'm studying at Humber College.
Okay.
Yeah.
When did you migrate?
Left in 2019.
I know the culture in Kenya is sort of different from
Yeah.
Jamaica.
Yeah.
How have you adapted to the Canadian culture?
Canada is a great place. Great place. Disciplined people. Nobody honks horns behind you when the lights change. Um, if you're taking public transportation, like buses or the trains, you better be there on time. You don't come out 8:30 for 8:30 bus. You will sit down the road. And if you come to catch a train at 8:05 and you reach here 8:06, you go and hear the train on the track down the road. That's the good thing about here. The other thing about it is that the musicians are superb, especially the horns players, the piano players, the guitarists. They are superb. And the upright bass players are out of this world. They don't have as many electronic bass players. When I came here, I pretty much was the front line electric bass player, because I never even knew that. I thought there were lots of electric bass players here. But I went into class one day and teacher was in the master class and teacher asked me to play. Everybody knows that song. That's Donnelly. I didn't play it that fast either. Alright? But I did. And he started to play a bossa nova bass line and told me to take a solo. I took a simple solo, I'm not lying to you. I took a very, very simple solo, and by the time I finished the solo, everybody's on. And that was when I realized that no electric bass player is really there, you know.
Okay.
And yeah.
All right. So,
But-
who are you currently working with? Any artists?
No,
know?
I'm not working. No artist here.
Okay.
I am the artist I'm working with now.
Oh, all right. You're trying to build a solo career.
Yep, it's going in studio in Humber.
Okay.
Right,
Right.
as a third year project is my album.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about that venture.
Oh well, I am right now at Humber. You have to do a third year project in which you record your EP, like carry 3 songs that you want to release. You get to use the Humber studios free, and trust me, those guys are good. So I'm carrying 3 of my original songs that I really want to put out on the street. One that demonstrates my abilities to play the bass. The other one is a very, they call it now, it's a pop sounding reggae smooth song. It's a song about hope. I think you guys will like it, trust me. It's called My Season. That's what the album is going to be called, by the way. My Season.
All right.
Yeah.
Awesome. We're looking forward to that, Dwayne.
Yeah, man.
All right. Before we go, I would like you to sort of encourage the young bass players, or even older bass players in general. How
Yeah.
would you sort of encourage them before we leave the interview?
Well, first, see yourself as an individual. Because if you see yourself as an individual and the other guys you look up to as individuals, then you kind of find the common factor between you and them. And if you find that, more than likely, you know, everything is going to fall in place. And what I mean by that is, I remember when I started playing bass, trying to do the Victor Wooten stuff at school, and lots of guys were telling me, yo, that now, you know, get that, you know, that the man the barn night, you know. Yeah, you know, the triple thing they have just left that to them, man. And I remember the question I asked myself, two things. I said, what is it about Victor? Why him do that, why me can't do it? Him have on 5 fingers on him right and 5 fingers on him left. Him have a brain, him have eyes, nose just like me. And notwithstanding him have a little bit more body than me, but he's still a human being. And my mom used to tell me, what man has done, man can do. But those were the things that I used to say, if Victor Wooten did it, Marcus Miller did it, I can do it. And the only difference between us and they is one, work, because working for it is the most important aspect of getting it. And then when you work for it, when you finally get it, that will supply you the tools you need to put a career on the road. So you want a good bass. Right now I got an endorsement from a bass up here called Bacchus. And I haven't made an album, an EP or anything yet. Just from seeing me play online. So the whole idea is believe that you can do it, man. And I know you're gonna feel, let me tell you, there are days when I took up my bass, when I used to feel like just throw it away. Trump can't bother with this. I don't think I can do this thing. And trust me, over time, I got so good at the thing. I'm glad I didn't throw it away. I'm telling you, if I can do it, I'm the least of all the apostles people. Trust me. Anybody else can do it.
Alright. Awesome stuff, Dwayne. Awesome stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alright, before we go, I'm going to ask you to leave some contact information.
Yep.
How can we... big boy!
Yeah.
Dwayne Jr.
Second one.
Oh, that's the second one? Yes.
Yeah.
Alright. How can we contact you, Dwayne?
Well, I'd sell our
social media, the
email.
whole works.
Yeah, so I'm changing up my social media profile now, so you might be able to get me on Gab Social. I'll send that information to you. Or you can go and find me on Instagram. I'm LivyBasy4. On Facebook right now I have Dwayne Livingston, and you have Dwayne Livingston Music. That's my official artist page.
Okay, cool. All right, Dwayne. It was a pleasure talking to you.